Hello and welcome to Talking Gamers Match Preview. Manchester City against West Ham United. Europa League's done and dusted. Well, not quite yet, but we've qualified for the last 16. It's time to turn their noses and the business to the Premier League. Gonzo, your thoughts on the Citizens, please?
Wonderful win for them against PSG. And wonderful for them to be topping the group. In fact, I was about to have a look at the group. That's it. They've won it. They've won it because PSG have got 8 points. So Leipzig are also in that group. So good group. They only lost one game. And that was they went behind in that game against PSG, if I'm not much mistaken. So that's really good for them. They've been in a really good run of form in the league as well. Aside from the Crystal Palace loss, of course, one of three stellar teams in the Premier League at the moment, Gio, I would have to say, with themselves, Chelsea and Liverpool, who I think are in terms of the standard of their first team, certainly in Liverpool's case, as higher than anybody else in the league. And I think certainly in terms of the squad, Man City and Chelsea, they're just a little bit. The rest of us are vying to be the best of the rest, I feel, at the moment. I know we're just beating Liverpool, but you know what I'm saying. A manager who's, I think, reinvigorated. I think he'd gone a little bit stale. And he usually swaps clubs. I've said this before, but I think he stayed around. Sadly, he lost his mum during COVID, didn't he? And I think the whole COVID situation, everything, I think maybe that was he likes to take a break, Guardiola. I just wonder if that was his break for the game. He's come back. He's pressed the reset button. I think if you interview him in 20 years' time, he might well say that Klopp coming along and reviving Liverpool has probably given him enough competition where actually now, because all these sports people are highly competitive, you want to be involved in this. I think this is a really good time in the Premier League's history. I think if you've got three teams who are roughly equal, you're going to want to, as a competitive person, to finish top of that trio, aren't you, really? So I think everything's going really, really well for them. But done it all without a striker, really, Gio, as well.
Yeah, and without Kevin De Bruyne. He's been injured for large parts of the season as well. Even when he's been fit, he's not been their best player. He's not quite the Kevin De Bruyne that we saw for years now in the Premier League. I mean, he's still a world class player. We've just not seen world class Kevin De Bruyne that often this season. But the manager, like you said, without a striker as well, Pep sort of changed his blueprint this season. You know, Aguero left in the summer, and there's a lot of talk of who they're going to get. The pursuit of Harry Kane. You do wonder if he was ever seriously interested in Harry Kane. There was so much noise and stuff, but I don't see how you go from planning to play with Kane to playing with Raheem Sterling as a number 9, for example. I don't think you can go from one to the other unless there's a long-term strategy there and they know who they're going to go get in the summer from Dortmund, for example. But it's interesting to see what that is. What City do long-term, though, with the striker role. Because you can't just play with no number 9 for the next 2 or 3 seasons. It might work for the first season. I say found out, even if you do know what City are doing, it's hard to stop it anyway. But eventually they're going to need a striker. And if they do miss out on the title, I'm feeling it'll be to Chelsea. And you do wonder how much of it will come down to the fact that Chelsea have got Lukaku and City don't have a Lukaku at their team. But for now, the title race is on between 3 clubs. They've been thoroughly impressive in the Champions League. One defeat, like you said, to PSG. But I thought they were the better team that night. They did go behind against PSG midweek, but again, they were all over PSG. They were absolutely battering them. Then they scored against runner play and they got this deserved win. And when you look at who City didn't play against PSG midweek, there was no Foden, no Grealish, no De Bruyne. And you just think, bloody hell, this is a really good team. This is a ruthless team Pep Guardiola's got set up. And they used to be ruthless, then become entertaining, and they were a little bit of both. But now I think they've gone back to that happy balance where they're good to watch, but they do have that killer streak in them as well, which is important. Speaking of Pep, I agree with what you're saying. I think he's got unfinished business though at City until he gets his hands on that Champions League. They've made an impressive start so far, and we speak about how West Ham have got a bit of an opportunity because there's big teams coming into the Europa League. There's lots of big teams, big clubs around Europe not really playing that well. So if it's going to help West Ham, surely then, by right rule of thumb, it's going to help Man City as well.
Well, yes, that's true. But I think just going back to Pep a second, I think he needs it. Everyone will always say he's a really good manager and possibly, you know, the best of his era or whatever. That may well be said. But he will be unfavourably compared to some managers because you need to do the European thing at more than one club. And I think particularly given the reliance that he had on Lionel Messi. before with the Barcelona trophies. I think people will always make that argument. And I will, funny enough, I will talk about where you come from, which is Aberdeen and Sir Alex Ferguson. That really was key. I just still think possibly the most remarkable achievement in football that Alex Ferguson took Aberdeen to beat Real Madrid to win a European trophy. It's amazing. Real Madrid, little Aberdeen, sorry, no offense, Geo, little Aberdeen, little oil town, somewhere in a country above England. He took them to win a European trophy, beat Real Madrid. It was absolutely sensational. He did that. So he proved he could do it at the small club with a small budget. And then he went to Man United, obviously did it. A couple of Champions League with the big budget. Guardiola needs to do it without Lionel Messi and somewhere other than Barcelona. And then he'll be talked about, I feel, alongside some of the greats in the history of football, certainly.
Yeah, I don't think he can leave City till he wins it, really. I think if he does leave City before winning it, I think he'll be deemed a successful manager. Of course he will. World-class manager, one of the best Premier League's ever seen, but there will always be that thing missing, which you've said, he never won the Champions League. Something Jurgen Klopp can say. Jurgen Klopp can say, I went to the Premier League, I won the Premier League, and I won the Champions League. Pep can't say that yet. But saying that, every time we do a preview, we always say, this could be City's year, this in the Champions League. It's never quite there. They've got close, and you do think last time out, he got to the final, and then he sort of blew it a little bit by trying to be a bit too fancy with his tactics and stuff. He will learn from that. He will learn from that, Pep. And I do think this might be the year they win the Champions League, because this might not be the year for another title. But before we get on to that, Gonzo, do you have an app that's the best app in the world for football fans to keep up to date with the latest going on in the Champions League, the Europa League, and at your football club?
I do indeed. I think you may be referring to the One Football app, which is a fantastic app. It probably even covers what Aberdeen are doing this weekend, whoever they're playing. I don't know, because when I signed up for the One Football app, it asked me who I supported, and I didn't put Aberdeen in there. I put West Ham, and what it does is it's put all the West Ham news, gossip, transfer rumours, team lineups, injury news all together in one place. I just access it on my phone. I find it's my one-stop shop for West Ham news. Best of all, it's free, and you can download it by using the link below. Please use the link below. I know you come from Hammers Chat, and they'd be kind to us then.
Transfer gossip is hotting up. Transfer window just around the corner. The gossip is getting good. It's getting juicy. And if you're on a desktop, there's a code on your screen right now. Get your phone out. Point your camera at it. Point your camera at the QR code, and it'll let you download the app. Simple as that. There's no clicking any links. You can use your phone. Not that thing. Oh. Put your big lens away, please. Thank you. Anyway, enough about One Football. Back to City.
Freshly clipped.
back to City. I don't think they'll win the title. I still think Chelsea will win it. Although they're saying that, City have shown this season that they can cope with the loss of big players through injury. Grealish should be missing for a few games. That's fine. De Bruyne has been out for large parts of the season. That's okay. Chelsea now have just lost Ben Chilwell, likely for the remainder of the season. And that is a huge, huge loss there. But saying that, I still fancy the West London side to win the title. Give us your prediction, Gonzo. Will they win the Champions League, and will they win the Premier League title? I think they'll win the Champions League. I don't think they'll win the Premier League title, much like yourself. I just probably want to say here, because I know someone will correct me in the comments, please, that I know that Aberdeen is not a town, by the way. I do know that it's the Granite City, just before somebody says, oh, I knew you called Aberdeen an oil town. If anyone's going to correct me, Geo should correct me. He's from Aberdeen, but I know it's a city. I just know the comments are coming. All right, so there you go. I'm used to the abuse, to be honest with you. I've just got a zone out to it now when the abuse comes about being Scottish or for Aberdeen. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Players you admire at City, take your pick. Don't go on your rant about how you hate City and it's boring to win things all the time. We had that for the League Cup, which we knocked them out of. But players you admire.
I've been very nice about City. I've said, you need to rewind this video. I've been very, very nice about Manchester City, actually. I've said they'll win the Champions League. Very good. They got some very good players. Excellent players. I like Cancelo.
Do you think he's the best player in the Premier League at the moment behind Salah? I think he's just unbelievable at the minute. His pass the other day's assist for Sterling's goal was just filthy. I think the mad thing is he's the best left back in the league. He's not even left-footed.
No, but he's a footballer. He's every so often these players just They just arrive. You're not even sure what position they should or could play in. They're just footballers, and I won't bore you by listing them, but there's many of them in through history, and you can just play them, anywhere on the football pitch in many respects. A top quality player, and I've liked him for quite some time actually, and. I mean, the other thing you've got to it's Diaz, isn't it? The centre half there. He's a fantastic player, and as I mentioned before, everyone was saying, "Oh, it's Diaz and John Stone." Well, then not so much this season. Diaz and Laporte. Well, the common denominator is Diaz is a fantastic player. So you have to you could probably put a lot of players next to him, and they would play very, very well. I mean, I think the goalkeeper's pivotal to the way they play as well. I'm trying to pick different players, Geo, to what we normally say as well. What's the geezer's name? Rodri, is his name Rodri in the middle? He's been better this season. This seems to be his best season, I would think. I mean, look, really good, mate. Just really, really good. You could keep going on, and I know obviously there's another Portugueser you probably want to speak about as well. Very good Man City, loads of good players. You could talk about them all day, really.
Yeah, I think one of the most impressive things about Pep is sort of what he appears to do is be good at man management. There was a bit of a stir in the summer with Aguero's father suggesting that Pep's not a very nice person at the end of the day, and it was crocodile tears he was shedding for Aguero's departure and stuff. But when you look at the fact that Bernardo Silva was halfway out the door, he couldn't get rid of him. They kept him. He's been world class this season. I think Gundogan as well has just stepped up again. Last season, I thought he was unbelievable, one of the best players in the league. Yeah. This season, he stepped up once more. And he's one of the best centre midfielders in European football. I don't mind admitting it. He's one of those players that went to City for the first season or so. You looked at him and I thought, I don't really see why he's at City. He's a good player, but I didn't think he was a Man City good player. Now, case closed. Pep knows more than I do about football. Who would have thought it? But I agree with you about Rodri. I think he's really stepped up this season. He was another player when he first come to the Premier League I was a bit unsure of, and I thought Fernandinho was better than him. And I thought, if you're having trouble putting a 32-year-old or whatever it was at the time out of the team, then how good is he? But now he's proven he's world class in there in that middle of the park, which actually helps West Ham to some extent, because I did have a worry that they were going to come and get Rice to replace Fernandinho. Well, they don't need to anymore because Rodri's done it, and it probably helps us as a West Ham fan that they might not be looking at Declan anymore. But yeah, plenty of good players at City, but there's your chosen few. Time to talk about the plenty of good players at West Ham United, starting at the back. We know Fabianski. We both want Fabianski in goal. That's sorted. But the back four came in for a bit of criticism against Wolves, and myself, yourself. You thought they defended well, but I didn't think they did. A couple of players perhaps have strong claims to start against City. Soufal and Diop in particular. Would you like any changes at the back four?
I would make some changes to the back four, actually, yeah. But I'm not convinced it will be a back four.
I was going to say, what would you prefer to see? I know you think Moyes will play a back three, but what would you prefer to see?
I would prefer to see the back four, actually, because I am. This is something I said the other day on a video, Joe. We've been talking about left-footed centre-backs and Hammers Chat for years when we used to talk about Winston Reid playing at left centre-back and stuff. We know about this. So it's not news to us that it's nice to have a left-footed centre-back. But even having said that, though, I can't quite stretch as far as to say our attacking down the left is completely broken down because the centre-back is not left-footed. No, I think we can. Cresswell can still create from that left hand side. I really do think so. I'm just not sure that if Moyes believes that or not, and he might put Cresswell at left centre back in a three, and that sort of eradicates what he would perceive to be his problem. I just think we're not practiced and we're not versed at three at the back at the moment. In the season last season, there were times when we played it equally, four at the back, three at the back. Not this season. It's all four at the back really this season, isn't it? So. I would stick with it, Geo, to be perfectly honest with you. Would I make changes? I would make changes, actually, because I would bring Diop in. So as we could move Satsuma, so as we could move him back into his favoured right-sided position. I think that would be the chosen thing to do. Obviously keeps Cresswell at left back, and I just don't think you can switch Johnson as well as Soufal has played. I will keep Johnson there, actually.
Yeah, I think this I think playing City is good for some players in the team. I think it's bad for some as well. And I think it's bad for Soufal, in my opinion, because I think first and foremost, it's about the defensive side of the game. I don't think Johnson's done anything wrong whatsoever. So I'd like to see Johnson retain his place. I missed Soufal for the first time this season against Wolves. That's because of what Johnson failed to offer offensively. I thought we missed Soufal's cross and his bombing forward runs. But that's not something I anticipate we're going to need too much against Man City. We're not going to have much of the ball. We are going to have to sit back quite a lot. And for that reason, I think actually having the lesser of the attacker player on the pitch isn't a worry for me out of the Soufal Johnson thing. I think Ben Johnson, like I said, while I missed Soufal against Wolves, doesn't mean he had a bad game. I still think Johnson had a good game. It's just that he didn't offer enough going forward compared to what Soufal does. Centre backs, I too would like to see Dawson come in. I thought he should have come in against Wolves anyway, and I think this. Diop. I thought Diop should have come in against Wolves. I think this is a less obvious game, actually. I think Dawson's more suited to playing City than he was against Wolves because we'll sit so far back. There won't be that much space in behind. His lack of pace won't get exposed too much, whereas it did against Wolverhampton. You don't have much of the ball against Man City, so his dumping it forward shouldn't be too much of an issue as it was against Wolves as well. But saying that, I don't think he was that good in the Europa League game. He was all right, but he was largely untested. I thought he was poor in possession again, and that's a concern. So I too would like to see the Zuma Diop partnership at the back against Manchester City because we need something going forward. And it's got to be those two. I'd like to see them two pairing up. But the worry, and it is a small worry, is that Dawson does offer a lot offensively from set pieces. He does. Every time we get a corner, he's our most likely goal scorer from it. We're going to. I think that'll play on Moyes' mind. I expect to see Dawson start. But the question is, is Dawson capable of playing 3 games in 8 days, as he's the way to do if he starts against City? He played 90 minutes against Wolves, 90 minutes in the Europa League. Then we've got Brighton next week as well. So we've got a lot of football coming up. How fit is Craig Dawson? We might be able to find out. Now, in midfield, I assume you want to see the normal partnership of Souček and Declan Rice in there?
That I do.
But would you like a little switch in the middle of the park? I would like a little switch.
We'll have a little switch in the middle of the park, and that little switch will be the little Argentinian. And so I'll be having Lanzini at number 10 in this game. I think it could make a pivotal and crucial difference, Gio. He's got all the ability in the world. He now looks like a really experienced player. And I don't mean to compare him to Pirlo, but I'm going to compare him to Pirlo. In terms of he looks experienced, he looks like he can dictate the pace of the play, albeit from a little bit further forward than Pirlo. But he's got now the experience where he can drop deeper. Funny enough, he always used to drop deep anyway. Sometimes when we'd want him to be more advanced, particularly when, funny enough, he was playing up front with Arnautovic and he was a second striker. You'd sometimes see Lanzini come and drop deep to pick the ball off a centre-back. So he's always had it in his repertoire. He's always had a natural inclination to want to do that. I think he passes and moves. He's comfortable in possession. I think that gives other players confidence. I always like players who still ask for the ball even when they're marked. You don't care. I'm marked, so what? Don't worry about it. I'll take the ball. He can't get. I'll keep it back to him. You're going to get it back. We'll play a little 1-2. I'll spin off of him. You can give it back to me. Love all that. And I think that might well help us for having the ball is going to be at a premium in this one, and keeping possession is massive. And I think we need somebody. He's probably our best technical player in terms of passing the ball. I think Benrahma is a better technical dribbler. In terms of the technique of passing, Lanzini's the guy. I think we need him. So, I'll have him in there.
I completely agree with all that as well. And too often in recent weeks now that we've been struggling to control the game, including when we're leading against Aston Villa. Lanzini's come on the pitch and all of a sudden we're in charge of the ball. We've got more possession. Wolves last week as well. We're struggling to see anything of it. Wolves roll over. Lanzini comes on. Now we're on the front foot. We're pushing them back. Now there is a correlation, of course, between Lanzini entering the pitch as Wolves went 1-0 up, so naturally they were going to sit back a little bit more. However, he does get on the ball really good. He is the best at probably retaining possession. Him and Declan Rice are probably the ones that, if you like, as you say, if someone's going to get the ball with an opponent behind them, Lanzini and Rice are the two players you want to get the ball because you feel more comfortable that they're going to give it to someone else in a claret and blue shirt on Sunday afternoon. I think Lanzini deserves his chances. Looked good on Thursday night as well. Moyes took him off early enough in the game alongside Bowen and Souček, which would insinuate that Moyes sees him as an important part of his squad or has a plan for him going forward with his involvement on Sunday afternoon. And I think it's about time we change something, because I think the front three, and I take them as a collective, arguably even a front four, and they've had too much quiet games in recent weeks. And the Liverpool one bought them all a little bit of time. I take Bowen away from this. I think Bowen's done really, really well and been consistently good. Benrahma and Fornals have blown hot and cold, and over the last few weeks, I think they've blown more cold than hot. The Liverpool game, both of them turned up. Both of them were fantastic, which has bought them time. But I don't want to be in this situation where you leave them in for another 3 games to see if they come good again. And then they come good on the 4th one, so you leave them in for another 3 poor ones, kind of thing. It's a bit like the old manager fate. We had it with Ollie, we've had it with Bilic, which is you've got 3 games, lose, win. All right, you've got another 3, draw, win. Right, okay, you got another 3. And it's almost like that with player form to some extent, where they have a couple of poor games. Like, well, you need to have a good one, then they have a good one, right? Okay, we reset the counter again. Moyes, there's got to be a way to reward those playing well in Europa League and coming off the bench for playing well. Lanzini is the only player doing that at the minute, deserves to be rewarded. So the big question, Gonzo, is who are you dropping? Because Jared Bowen's a must.
Benrahma for this one. I think if anyone... Pardon?
I disagree.
Well, you're allowed to disagree, but it's not your turn. It's my turn. So Benrahma for this one. If it was anyone else, I'd drop Can you stop shaking your head, please? If it was anyone else, I would drop Fornals. I actually thought he was pretty bad when he came on in the European game as well, apart from he tried to set thingy up with the assist. But I do think it is largely his personal circumstance, and I think he might well be able to treat like a disease. Not a disease, it's a baby. But I think he might hopefully coming to grips with it now. I think if it was Chelsea, if it's Man City or Liverpool, it would be Fornals, as long as I'm playing Lanzini. I think anybody else would play Benrahma, but we're going to have to battle, we're going to have to scrap, we're going to have to fight for the ball on this one. So that would be my reason for choosing him.
I would drop Fornals. I think you can maybe give him the benefit of the doubt for the baby thing. I thought he was poor prior to the baby arriving as well. You know what I mean? And if it is, then let's get him up. Let's get Fornals up to Manchester tonight, Friday night. Let's get Fornals up there. So he's got 2 nights sleep. He's well rested, ready to go. But I think he's played poorly prior to the baby being born and stuff. And like I said, I am willing to give him the benefit of doubt to some extent. But the reason for Benrahma isn't necessarily because of poor Fornals. It's more because of we need to have some threat when we do get possession. And I just think when you've got Lanzini, who's fast enough, I guess. Fornals is not that fast, and Bowen's not that electric fast either. I think you just lose a little bit of what you carry in terms of a threat. And the reason I want to see a back four is because I think we're in a different situation to a lot of clubs. When a lot of teams play City, they're not good enough to have a go at them. It's almost like they need to pack the defence with numbers and midfield with numbers because they're not good enough to go toe-to-toe. Now, I'm not suggesting we are. But I'll tell you what, we took the game to Liverpool and looked damn good, and we won it as well. So I want to have the pop at City here. And I think the best way of doing that is with a back four. We shouldn't completely sacrifice our game and bow down to City and say, oh, you're too good, let us defend this match. And I think Benrahma on the pitch is the best way of attacking them. I thought he was fantastic against Liverpool. I thought he completely exposed Trent Alexander-Arnold's defensive insecurities, if you like. The only issue is, I'm going to play my own devil's advocate, is Kyle Walker is one of the fastest bloody players in the Premier League. So you could give Benrahma a 10-yard head start, and Kyle Walker will probably still catch before he gets the 18-yarder. But I just want to see Benrahma start, because I thought against Liverpool, whenever we got the ball in our defensive third, time and time again, we gave it to Saeed and said, go. And he ran 20 yards down the pitch, got a free kick, got a throw in, whatever. He allowed us to have a breather, push up the park, and I thought that was pivotal to the way that we played and won the game. I just don't think Fornals carries that threat about him. Bowen and Antonio, though, must picks with Mikhail rested up against Europa League. He didn't travel to Vienna, so he's rested. Hopefully we'll get a good performance from him. Bit of a big game in a weird way, Gonzo. Normally we write these off, we call it bonus points, and to some extent it still might be, but it is a big game for West Ham, but also a big week. City, Brighton, Chelsea, all in the space of 7 days.
Good teams, all really good teams, and it is a big game. But I've been looking forward to this one. Out of all of those, this is the one I've been looking forward to because, well, for a number of reasons. I felt in the League Cup game, well, I thought we played really well, and that was massively our second team. And I thought actually, and I said it at the time, I'd love to have a go at these guys with our better players on the pitch. And I understand they didn't have fully their team, but come the end of the game, I mean, they De Bruyne had featured, Grealish had featured, big players had played in their game for Man City. But we had players that really hadn't, so I was looking forward to that. And then obviously, look, we do these videos, and I understand they're bitter because they got kicked out of the cup and all the rest of it. But to read some of the comments from the City fans on our videos saying it doesn't count as a win because you only won in penalty, only won by penalties, and it wasn't our best team and the rest of it, just sort of G'd me up a little bit more. I thought, I'd love to have a go at this lot. Do you know what I mean? So I'm really up for this game. Really up for it. Actually, can't wait because they are. Look, they're one of the best teams in the world, and I tipped them to win the European Cup. So can't say much more than that. But bring it on, honestly, bring it on.
City away, Brighton at home, Chelsea at home. What's out of the 9 points? What's a good points total for us to achieve? Come full time against Chelsea, what are you hoping to have on the board, points wise?
5 points would be magnificent, but obviously that can only sort of cut one way, win and 2 draws. Isn't it? I mean, that would be undefeated in those 3 games, wouldn't it? Would be really, really impressive. Granted, it's not a massive chunk out of the 9, but it'd be really good. You'd sort of almost have to accept. It's tough. I just think it's tough, Geo. But I would not rule us out. I will not ruling out us getting 6 or 7 points. Actually, I would not rule that out at all.
I think 4 points would be a good haul. Win one, draw one, lose one. I'd be okay with that come the final whistle against Chelsea. Some games you get individual matches against Liverpool. We sort of felt, well, this is a good barometer to see how good we are. Let's see how good we are, because there's excuses made why we're beating other teams. Here we go up against Liverpool. Let's have it. We won. I don't feel that this game has the same sort of importance, but I think this run of 3 games does. I think this City, Brighton, Chelsea run. Come on then, West Ham. Let's see A, how good you are, and B, how you're going to cope with 3 tough games in 7 days. Because the Europa League, yes, we've been rotating for that. I'm sorry, but Vienna, Genk, and Zagreb are nowhere near the caliber of Brighton. Never mind Chelsea, Man City. So it's a completely different kettle of fish having this midweek game coming up. I don't compare it to the other ones. And even the cup games against Man U and City, I think is slightly different because, like you said, both sides were heavily rotated for that. And I know what you're saying about the City comments, but I actually thought City fans were really nice about us when we beat them, to be honest with you. I've seen a lot of Man City fans saying, fair play, well done, good luck, hope you go on and win the damn thing as well.
You're right.
And there's a complete contrast between the City fan base and City manager compared to Liverpool's fan base and Liverpool's manager when we beat them games.
You are right.
Worlds apart. I thought the City fans were really good.
You are right. No, listen. For context, you're right. There were a lot of pleasant messages from the City fans, but they were just. I think there were a particularly couple of. I think 2 of them. They kept on coming back and kept on chirping and kept on chirping. You think, all right, mate, buzz off. Do you know what I mean?
You always get wound up by the trolls.
Yeah, I do. But you're right. As a whole, they did respond. It has to be said, they did respond to the defeat a lot better than the Liverpool fans did. Who there were a lot more of them. Yeah, the Liverpool fans were devastated, weren't they? Let's be fair.
Are you confident for this one?
Yeah, reasonably. Yeah, I am actually. I think we're a tough team to beat. I think we're a really tough team to beat. I think David Moyes will. Is armed. Last season, no, and not because there was a massive disparity in the team between last season and this one. Actually, it's the belief system that knocking City out of the cup and beating Liverpool in the league might give David Moyes. I think David Moyes possibly has shifted the way he tends to set up against the bigger teams and the better teams. So, and I think on our day we beat anyone. I really do, and I think in light of what happened in the Wolves game. In light of everything that we've discussed, I think we're going to have our first team out. Obviously, Ogbonna not, but we're going to have our first team out. And I think they'll be motivated. I think they'll have a rocket up their backside from what I thought was a really, really horrible performance against Wolves. So I think they'll be motivated. I think the best players will be out there. And I think we'll have a game plan that can, if implemented successfully, You need a bit of luck as well. But if implemented successfully, our game plan can cause Manchester City trouble. And I think we saw that in the League Cup.
I'm not confident. I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful. I'm not scared. I think we'll score a goal. I don't think we'll get thrashed. I think we might, if we lose, I think it'll be by 2 goals at the absolute most. I think we'll give a good account of ourselves. I'm confident in all that happening. I'm not confident. One City have looked bloody good recently. Watching them against PSG, and they're just wiping the floor with PSG. And I know people say that PSG just aren't that good and so on and so forth. I understand that. And the one thing I watched when I did watch PSG play, and I thought the one thing that they did that we wouldn't do, which was good for us, is Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, for all the talent in the world they've got, they just don't press our defence. City defence were just passing the ball about willy-nilly, and I thought ours won't do that. We'll sit back until you get to the halfway line, and then Bowen and Antonio will chase you down a little bit. City defence won't have that time on the ball against us as it did. But my biggest concern is our centre-back pairing. We've not fixed it. We've not got a centre-back pairing yet. We don't know who it's going to be. And that's a bad thing. We shouldn't. I'm pretty certain it'll be Zouma and Dawson. I'm expecting Zouma and Dawson. But it's not working yet. We can only go by what we saw in the last game against Wolves. I wasn't very impressed by it. And I watched that game thinking, if we play like this against City, we could be 4-0 down before half-time. Simple as that. So I can't then come into this preview thinking, oh, yeah, we'll beat Man City. All that concerns I had at them all, and you forget they're still there. But I am slightly optimistic. The bad thing about putting them out the League Cup is almost that I think Pep probably rates us and David Moyes a little bit more, actually. I think he's probably thinking, I'm not rotating it. I'm putting out my cup final team on Sunday now to take care of this mob because I'm not getting beat by them again. I felt that this fixture last season, Gonzo, when you're speaking about mentality, this is the fixture last season, I think, that we changed. I feel when we played Liverpool, Man City in the past on the Moyes, but, a bit white flaggish, play the badge, not the team, all that sort of stuff. But when we went to the Etihad last season, we had a certain player in our team that shall not be named, that comes from the red side of Manchester. I felt he changed the way we played against City. I remember watching him screaming at our team to get up the pitch and have a pop at City, and he almost brought that Man United mentality to the team a little bit, which is, no, we don't fear this lot. Come on. We got beat 2-1. I remember genuinely not being buzzing by the performance, but I've been really impressed. I remember coming on we got beat, coming on with you talking about it. We were happy with how we got beat. We did the player ratings, and they were all getting 7, 8, and 9s out of 10 despite losing the match. We were fantastic that game. We were really unlucky to lose. And since then, I think our mentality has changed towards the Sky Sports top 6, which is we don't fear you. We will have a pop at you. We can beat you. I thought this fixture last season was the defining moment in regards to the mentality of West Ham United. Just one's thoughts anyway. Any final words you may have and your score prediction, please? I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You mean looking forward to the score prediction?
Yeah. Well, for a start, A, you're confident, and B, you've got 3 out of the last 4 correct. 3-2 Liverpool, 4-1 Villa, and then 2-0 on Thursday, which I got correct as well, but I'm just 1 out of 4. But I'm also 1 out of 1. Depends how you want to look at it.
Well, I'll go with the 1 out of 1. I'm looking at the optimist in me would say that. Yeah, look, I mean, please don't bet on anything that I say, by the way. Look, fantastic team. They are a fantastic team, but I do think we're going to be highly motivated, highly organised, and I think if Antonio plays at the top of his game, if Declan Rice plays at the top of his game, if Cresswell plays at the top of his game, I know it's a big ask, but if those guys start playing 8 out of 10s, and we've got Lanzini in there as well dictating play, we're going to be really, really hard to beat. Zuma's looking like the player that we think he is as well. We're going to have a really, really good go at these guys, and we're going to be hard to beat. Not only are we going to be hard to beat, we're going to be hard to stop us getting corners. If we get corners, City are in trouble. It's as simple as that, really. And I don't have to say anything else. I've already praised their centre-back. I think he's one of the best in the league. I really do. Wonderful team. But you know what? I think we're a wonderful team as well, and I think West Ham are going to win 2-1.
I was going to say 2-1 as well, but for Man City. And like I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think we'll make a good account of ourselves. I just think you're right. If Rice and Creswell and Antonio turn up on their game, we'll give them a go. But unfortunately, if Foden, Bernardo Silva, and Mahrez turn up on the top of the game, there's not much we can do about it. They have better individual players than us. That's what I will say. And sometimes that does win games. I've got a feeling it'll win on Sunday. So I'll say Man City 2, West Ham United 1. Anyway, if you enjoyed this preview, drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel. Myself and Gonzo, catch you in a bit.